Hello. If you've ever wondered how to ever get one of these quick set locks, either the Halo, the 910s, or any of their smart locks, so you didn't have to replace the batteries every month or so, I've come up with this idea. So right there is a 24 gauge wire that I've run through up into my attic, over here to my closet, little entry closet. And I've come down here in the closet. I'm going to run it around here. And I'm going to put an outlet down here at the bottom, which is opposite of my existing outlet. So I have power in my closet when I add an outlet that's going to feed this wire. And then I'll show you in step 2 how to wire it. Here's part 2. I've put in a low voltage adapter that holds it to the wall, and I put in one of these plates. This is just like a cable plate with a hole in it, and then I drilled a hole out and screwed it for this whip that is now going to hang over here. Let me grab that, and I'm going to screw it to the door just like that, so it'll look like that when it's done, and it'll carry the power over to the door. Step 3. Part 3, I've got this rabbit bit with a ball bearing on it, and I'm able to run around my door and run this little channel along the door, and up here on the top you can see the rabbit continues. I kind of screwed up over here, but then I'm going to go over to this corner where my other plug is, and that's where the wire is going to run in the door, and I'm going to staple it in place. Okay, so I have drilled a hole in my door and a drill from the top, so I fished my wire through here, and I'll show you how that looks up at the top. The wire comes up here. Now it's going to come up here, and then we're going to put it in the channel just like that, so that it's going to close. It's not going to hinder anything on the door when it's closed. Okay, so now here is the wire in that little rabbit I cut. Now I put staples like every 6 inches so that it didn't come loose. It wedges itself in pretty good, so I don't think I'll have any problem with the wire coming loose, but it's got a great thick insulation on it. But everything is stapled and it laying flat, and then it goes to that hole that goes around here to the corner to our connector that feeds it up here and then over to the power supply. Gone ahead and screwed it to the door where the hole was, and that plate. Alright, now I've screwed the whip to the door right over that hole, and you can see that there's the plate where I fed the wire up to the attic and then back down to the closet. But here's how the door works with the wire. Sorry, it's a bad video, but it doesn't bend or anything, so the wire is now safely installed in that jacket, steel jacket, whip, and get power to those battery. It's over here. That's the next step. Okay, now I've taken off this decorative faceplate here that was on the lock, and I've marked in where the limits that'll be covered by the lock. You can see that blue line there. That'll tell me where I can drill to get the wire through and the connectors. And I'll show you the connectors next. Okay, so here are our connectors. So we have the dummy battery here that connects to a 5.5 outer diameter, 2.5 inner diameter barrel connector. And then I bought this connector, which uses the wire. I'll strip the wires and connect them with those clamps. And then, so this needs to fit in the hole, and this needs to fit in the hole behind the door that I told you I marked out. Now, just above the lock, I've drilled a 7/8 inch diameter hole that the channel feeds into. And as you come around, I drilled a 1.5 inch diameter hole, much like they do with a lock, but I used a Forstner bit, so I didn't go all the way through. So this is the hole that's created, and then over to the outside of the door. This is where we're going to fish the wires in to power the lock. And I did this because you can get a 1.5 inch dowel at Lowe's. If you do ever need to come back, glue and screw a dowel in there, sand it and paint it, you'll never know the door was compromised. Same with here. You drill a 7/8 inch diameter dowel. Go ahead and glue it and push it in there, and you're set. Got the power coming from the attic, which I fed over here and into my closet that I have an outlet into. So I came over here, came down through the whip, up onto the top of the door in a channel, a dado that I came down here, and now the power cable is now out here, which will all be behind the lock, so none of this will be seen. So I've taken a dowel, a 7/8 dowel, and I use that rabbet joint, and I cut a rabbet down this, and now all I have to do is put my wire in there. Sorry, put the wire in the channel, put this in there, and it slides in, and that's your seal for the wire going into the door. Okay, so I mentioned that I drilled this hole and this one. What I did was I extended, I don't know if you can see it, I extended this hole further back to allow for more room for the cabling for storage, because the parts that I showed you are a little bit, they're about 1.5 inches long each, so this allows me to go through this 1.5 inch hole and come back with a wire so that I have free play in the wire. Okay, now I've got my barrel connector connected to my wire. Just make sure your polarity is the same at both ends. I did red to positive, black to negative. And I'm going to connect it up and then hook it up to the fake battery end that I showed you before that has the barrel hook with this thin wire, a ribbon wire, that goes to the fake battery. And I'll show you that process later. Okay, so now you see I've got all the wire. There's the hole, the big hole I drilled, and then this ribbon wire is coming out to this fake battery. Here's the battery tray that came with the lock. I've got 3 of the other fake batteries. This kit came with 4 batteries, and then this is the one that provides the power via that ribbon wire to the connector and then all the way around the door. So this is a little tricky. You've got to put this in, slide it in, and then go ahead and fish that wire so it's all in that hole. Other end, I've got my red to positive, black to negative, and this has the female barrel hook. And what that connects to is the male barrel hook of a 6-volt DC converter. You can order these on Amazon. I'll list all the items I purchased through Amazon.